So, welcome to the frustration that you do not have to battle when you go out with your friends. It's Christmas. Yep, it's video number 2 of our How to Enjoy Christmas Sober series. So, what I want to talk about today is jealousy. And you've got to ask, why would you be jealous of somebody who was drinking alcohol? Well, that's actually what we really want to get into. Ultimately, you will only feel jealous of people drinking alcohol if you believe you are missing out, lost something exciting by drinking. That's what we're going to get. By the end of the video, I want you to feel, know, to really appreciate deep down inside that you are not out. So I want to start off by telling you a little story about a Christmas Eve back when I was drinking. Now, it was an unusual one, and that's why it sticks in my mind. I went to a party. Okay, that wasn't particularly unusual. That was something I did a lot of. But this was different because I'd promised my mum to go to church with her on Christmas morning. So I went to a party with a friends. I don't really remember an awful lot about that party. I mean, partly because it wasn't memorable, it was a long time ago, and partly because I did have quite a lot of drinks. So I went to the party. I don't really remember that. What I do remember was getting home. I remember thinking, now it's late and I've got to be up soon. So in my infinite wisdom, I decided that if I was only going to get a few hours sleep, the best thing to do was sleep on the floor. That way it would be easier to get out of bed because I wasn't actually in. So Christmas morning rolled around, the time to get up to go to church rolled around, and I dragged myself off the floor. I went to church. I very nearly fell asleep in church a couple of times. Felt awful. Actually, I felt pretty rubbish all day until sort of mid-afternoon when, a couple of drinks post-lunch kind of kicked in and I started to feel a bit. But that particular morning, I felt rough all morning and I felt tired more. Now, why do I mention? I think you've got to kind of look at examples like that. You've almost certainly got your own. And you've got to ask yourself, does that sound like? You've also got to ask yourself, well, does that sound typical? I mean, all right, that was Christmas. Was that my behavior for most of the year? Was that typical of what I did throughout the year? Typical of your behavior when you were drinking? Now, also got to kind of really think about it and really dig into it and ask yourself, does that sound like something worth? Does that sound like something that you'd really to be doing? And therefore, when you're not doing it, you're missing out. Now, I'm not going to answer that question for you. I want you to answer that question for yourself. But I do want to explain a concept called fading affect bias. Now, fading affect bias is a pretty simple psychological. It's the idea that your brain tends to forget the things that were bad and remember the thing good. Now, consider that for a second. You will realize that it made perfect sense. Got all of the stuff that was good and remembered all of the stuff that was bad, which had been miserable the whole time. So it is a way of your brain protecting yourself, and it works very well to do that. However, there's one thing that it does not work so well with, and that is alcohol. Because what you do is you end up forgetting all of the stuff that happened to you and clinging to all of the things that you thought were good about drinking. It's actually something that we're going to get on the next. But you remember what you thought was good about it and forget everything that's bad about it. And that's one of the things that contribute believing you're missing out. And that's especially true around Christmas. So what have you got to do? You've got to make sure you can really remember all of those bad things. Because if you really remember all of those bad things, then you won't have the fear of missing out. You won't have FOMO. You'll have JOMO. You will have the joy of missing, won't you? If you remember all of the bad stuff, then you won't want to do it. You'll be quite pleased. You won't have to do it. And that was something that was really, really to my sobriety was this feeling I was actually relieved did not have to drink anymore. So if you can get to that point, then you're magic. How do you get to that point? Well, I think one of the most useful things to do, actually go through all of those bad things, write them down, get a piece of paper, get a pencil, just scribble, just write down all of the stuff that really about drinking. Do it as much as you can, as exhaustively as you can, and then find a way of just reminding yourself about that every now and again. Certainly over the Christmas holidays, it might be good to remind yourself quite regularly, every few days, if the parties are coming thick, fast, or every week. And then when you move into the new year, maybe tone it down a little bit and only look at that every sort of 6 months to 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that. But just do over the next year or so, regularly remind yourself how much you hate drink, and that will really build joy of missing out. You will get great feeling that you are relieved you don't have to do that. So as I said a second ago, one of the things that we're going to get to grips with in the next video is actually that belief that there was a lot of positive stuff about drink. So I will see you for that one. Thank you very much.